Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another video. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. So today I wanted to present a new addition. This is a 2018 F150, and I want to start out by saying that I'm really disappointed in this truck. So I purchased it about 2 weeks ago, and if you've seen my other videos, I had a 2014 Ram 2500, and I really enjoyed that truck. It is definitely a workhorse, but my other half refused to ride in it anymore because it was like riding on a brick. With the truck market the way it is, it was a great time to sell it, and I pretty much drove it for a year and a half for free. So I wanted to get a truck that could tow and was a half ton. It was a bit more comfortable, and I've had five fourth generation Rams in a row, and I figured might as well try another F-150. It's been a while since I've had one. This one is the 3.5 EcoBoost with 10-speed automatic, four-wheel drive, super cab, and it's a nice looking truck overall. So let's take a walk around. Found this truck on Auto Trader. It was at a Nissan dealer in Sumter, South Carolina, and after pulling the Carfax, it was a one owner, no accidents. It's a clean truck, and for whatever reason it sat on their lot for 6 months and went through, looking on Car Gurus, it had gone through multiple price reductions, and it had gone through another price reduction, and that's why it ended up in my search results, because it was below my upper price. And after going through the pictures, talking to the dealership, I drove down there. It was about 2 hours from me, and I didn't want to bother any of my friends to drive me 2 hours, so I rented a U-Haul truck, and for $199 including gas, I just drove down there and dropped off the U-Haul. That was the cheapest way to do it, since how with the rental car situation the way it is, nobody's doing one-way rentals. But anyway, it's a super clean truck. I'm not a fan of black cars. I've had several of them, and they're a nightmare to keep clean. But this one, being 3 years old, it's still in nice shape. There's just a little bit of light scratches that could easily be buffed out. There are no dents in it, no dings in it. There's a couple scratches that have been touched up, but overall it's in really good condition. Even the bed, it doesn't have a bed liner in it, and even that has some scratches, but it's not beat up or anything. Passenger side's in nice shape. No curb rash or anything on the wheels. And this truck, it was in Southern Virginia its whole life, and I specifically had the dealer, before I drove down there, I had the dealer take some pictures of the undercarriage, because I know these things, even though it's aluminum bodied, the suspension and frames still rust on these. I know from experience living up in Northeast Ohio how bad these things rust. Any truck in general. And this thing is super clean underneath. I don't think this thing has ever seen any kind of salt. Yeah, the wheels are in nice shape too. Tires still have good tread on them, but the shoulders are wearing and we got some weather cracking, so those would need to be replaced if I kept it for very long, but that'll be the next person's problem. I don't really see any issues on the outside of it. There's no paint work that I can see. Even though the Carfax is clean, that doesn't mean it's never been wrecked, but I don't see anything that's been obviously repaired or repainted. So on the outside, it's a really nice truck. And if I kept it, I could get it looking pretty close to 100%. There's just one scratch across here that you can see, and it's still not too deep. You could probably buff most of that out. But as we take another walk around, there are a couple things that irritate me and a couple things that are pretty good about this truck. And one thing that I really enjoy on every Ford that I've had is the touchpad. So you can lock the truck, I can lock my keys in it when I go to the gym, If you just need to get something out of the truck real quick and it's locked, just put in the key, just punch in the keypad number, and you can get in and out. So an irritation I have with it is how you actually get into the back of the truck. So like on my Ram 1500s, you have the stake pockets in the back, which are open, and the Rams are nicely finished with a radius all the way around. And if you want to get in the truck, you just put the bed down, put your finger in the pocket, step up on it, and pull yourself in, no problem. But these, they have the covers on them, so you can take the cover off, obviously, but then if you leave it off, you've got this big ugly hole there. Just finish it a little nicer, and then it's a handhold to get yourself in. Now you could put one of those flip down steps on it, which I had to do on my 2500 because it was so tall, but it's not really necessary on a 1500. And now I know people will say, well, you can get an F150 with the bed step, or with the tailgate step, which to me that's a completely useless contraption. So now you've got, instead of just grabbing up here, pulling yourself in, and with no extra steps, now you gotta pull the step out, flip up the lever, and crawl up inside. And on top of that, now you have a more expensive tailgate for when you damage it, and it's also heavier, so, and more expensive. So it's just a complete waste. Now what drew me to this truck after pulling the window sticker is that it's the 3.5 EcoBoost, it's the 10-speed automatic, 4-wheel drive super cab. It's an XLT with chrome appearance package, and has navigation, which whatever. It has sync with the big screen, but what really drew me to it is that it has the max trailer tow package, which includes a 355 rear end, locking rear end, has pro trailer backup assist, which I can back up a trailer, I don't need that, but it also has the integrated trailer brake controller, and it also has the 36-gallon extended range fuel tank. Unfortunately, the max trailer tow package on paper does not translate into actually being that good at towing for my situation. So I frequently tow cars and my Bobcat tractor, and all of the Ram 1500s that I've had have easily been able to manage towing those things without any fancy weight distributing hitches, spring bars, dampers, anything like that. But this weekend I had my Bobcat on the back of this, loaded like I always have it loaded, and I took off down the road, and I seriously thought something was broken on the truck, because the front end was so light and it was wandering all over the road. It was scary at 45 miles an hour. I've never had a truck handle as poorly as this did with that towing combination. And see, the problem is I can't move my tractor back any farther on the trailer to get more weight to the back of the trailer, because with the brush hog on it, I'm going to be 5 foot hanging off of the back of the trailer just to make this thing sit level. It wouldn't be so bad if I just towed a travel trailer. Then you set up the hitch and the bars and everything once and you're done with it. But since how I tow with the car hauler, I'm always towing a different car, a different truck, tractors, equipment. So the weight on the trailer is always going to be changing, and it's such a pain in the ass to change the hitch around every time for everything you're loading. One option I've seen is adding helper air springs to the back of the truck, and that'll lift the back of the truck, but that really doesn't move any weight to the front of the truck. So just if you think of it like kind of like a seesaw, as you load the back of the truck and it squats, the spring flattens and stiffens, so now you've got pretty much a rigid attachment pivoting on the axle. So when you weigh the back of it down, it's lifting the frame and lifting the front of the truck. So if you add air springs to the back, it raises the back of the truck, but it's kind of just lifting the whole truck up. It's not necessarily pivoting it back forward to get weight off of the rear and moving it to the front. So that's where the weight distributing hitch comes in, because that actually will lift the back of the truck and put more weight to the front. That's the biggest issue with this truck, and that's kind of the main reason it's going to go away as soon as I find another 4th or 5th generation Ram to replace it. Now let's take a look on the inside. So as you can see, this one's it's a pretty nicely optioned truck. It has the 302A package. So you got dual 10-way power seats, power pedals. Got this one has sync and heated seats. Now this one still has the bench seat with the fold down center section, which I kind of prefer. I've had that in my Rams, and I've also had the console, and the console usually just ends up getting full of junk. So I don't mind the center seat folding down. And the back is usable. You can put people back here, got some storage space under the seat, so it's not a terrible place to be. So we can hop inside and fire it up. There you can see we've got 43,000 miles, pretty low mile truck. Interior's in nice shape, really no wear anywhere. So one thing that's irritating is that the center armrest is pretty tall, because when it's up it has a headrest and a fairly tall back, but when you put it down it's so far forward and it's so tall that when you have a cup in here, it completely blocks the access to like the right half of the climate controls. So imagine like a Yeti sitting in here that's about this tall. If you try to reach everything on this side, you have to either reach all the way around or go over or around this side, and it's really inconvenient just to change the temperature. Now the 4th gen Rams, they have a really short center console. It stops probably about here, and it has 3 cups in the front that are lower, so there's no access issues to the climate controls, which are also a little bit higher too. So yeah, this is just kind of an irritating thing. And then the next irritating thing is sync. After you've had Uconnect, sync is just garbage. I'm probably going to have to do a gremlin sweep on this system, and those of you that have had Volkswagens know what a gremlin sweep is. Well, I was going to say, look, it locked up there too. I'm pushing and it does nothing. That's pretty normal. It's been doing that. You adjust the volume and it changes the volume, but then like a few seconds later, it'll show it on the screen, or like right now, it's just got some screwed up characters in there. I've had it where I'll back up and the backup camera will come on. I put it in drive and it'll just stay on the backup camera for a minute or two. Last week I parked somewhere, shut the truck off, and the screen went blue, and it just sat like that for a while. So yeah, this system isn't great. It does have CarPlay, so that's one good thing, but the system in general is garbage. And we can see to the left of that, we've got our 4-wheel drive control with the electronic locking rear end. Got the Pro Trailer Backup Assist knob here with the trailer brake controller below it. And also part of the higher end package, you've got the 12-volt outlet and the 110-volt outlet. And in here, we've got the usual display. So overall, it's not a terrible looking interior. I think the styling is not offensive. Everything seems to fit together pretty well. No squeaks or rattles. There's one buzz from the center speaker area when the truck is cold. Once the truck warms up, I don't mean like engine temperature warms up, but I mean like ambient temperature. When it warms up, it stops buzzing, but somewhere in here, it buzzes when it's cold. But an irritating thing, and this is kind of another strike that makes me really want to get rid of the truck, is that the driver's seat is really uncomfortable to me. So you can see just looking at it, it looks like a pretty nice seat, but for whatever reason it is terribly uncomfortable. for me after about an hour of driving. Most of the Rams that I've had, they've had the four-way manual seats. You have forward, back, and manual recline, and that's it. No power pedals, no telescoping steering wheel. And those, I hop in it, I drive it 10 hours, and I'm perfectly fine. But this thing, a few weeks ago, I drove it to Ohio, 10-hour drive, and I played constantly with the position. So the steering wheel in and out, the pedals forward and back, the seats forward, back, up, down, tilt, recline, lumbar. I tried a ton of different combinations, and I could not get comfortable in the seat. It seems like there's just something with the lumbar in here. It just pushes in the wrong spots on my back, and after about an hour, my legs are asleep. So let's take a look at under the hood. And here we can see our 3.5 twin turbo. Engine bay is pretty clean. I did an oil change on it as soon as I got it because the Nissan dealer said they did one, but it had some cheap fleet service oil filter and no idea what oil they use. So for 50 bucks, I just did it with full synthetic and a Motorcraft filter. Has a new air filter in it, and it's clean in here, no leaks. The truck runs great, no warning lights or anything, but every time I start it, it has a rattle. And I don't think it's coming from the variable cam timing, because most people complain about that happening on a cold start. And this happens every time I start it, whether it's warm, whether it's cold. So I'm not sure. And usually when I hear it, it sounds like it's coming more from like either the rear of the engine or like under the truck. It could either be maybe the turbo wastegates. Those are mounted kind of towards down under the firewall, so it could just be, it could be those rattlings. And my parents, they have an Edge, and it's had a wastegate rattle as long as they've owned it. So maybe it's that. Maybe there's something with the transmission. I saw on some forum posts people complaining about a rattle in the transmission. I'll close the hood and I'll remote start it, and I'm sure we can hear it. All right, let's see if it does it. And so you can hear that little rattle. Yeah, so it does it pretty much every time I start it, whether it's warm, whether it's cold. And it's just like kind of a metallic rattle. So I'm not sure. There's no warning lights. It runs fine. It's still under warranty, so if it blows up, I'll just take it to the dealer and let them deal with it. So I'm not gonna waste my time investigating it. All right, let's go for a quick drive. First thing I always do: seatbelt, start it, turn off auto stop start. Hate that thing. It wouldn't be so bad, except that, for example, if you're at an intersection and you're sitting with the wheels straight and you need to make a quick left, it shuts off in the intersection, and then you let off the brake and it restarts, and it takes it a second or two before the power steering comes back. So you're trying to turn the wheel with no power steering. But it does drive really well. When it's unloaded, the steering's nice. It's nicely weighted. Tracks straight down the road. It's quiet. I'm going to get on it a little bit. It moves. It's got plenty of power. So in general, the engine and transmission are pretty decent. They're pretty decently matched. But what I've noticed is under light acceleration, you'll have the turbo start to spool, you'll start to feel the acceleration, and then the transmission short shifts, and then you lose all the boost, and you're just constantly like rocking forward and back in the truck because they're fighting each other between boosting and shifting and then losing the boost. Yeah, low speeds, it just doesn't seem to be well tuned. But on the highway or under heavier accelerations, it drives fine. The shifts are matched well. And one thing about this engine combination, the fuel mileage is surprisingly very good. A couple weeks ago I took it to Ohio. It was 660 miles one way, up 77 through the mountains of West Virginia and Virginia. It was kind of windy, and it still did 23.5 miles per gallon. And I think that's pretty good. That's on regular fuel. And having the 36-gallon extended range fuel tank, I was able to make it on one tank with no gas stops, and it still had 50 miles of range. So for me, I like to, when I do long distance drives, I like to go as non-stop as possible, so that's a plus for me. For being a truck, it handles as well as you expect a truck to. It understeers, and the back end gets a little bit light, especially if you hit some bumps in a mid corner, but it's predictable. But it's got the power to light them up. And what I do like about Fords more so over Rams, that you can turn off the traction control and the stability control. In a Ram, they'll only let you turn off the traction control, but Ford still lets you do the stability control. You just push and hold the stability control button for a few seconds, and it'll pop up a message saying roll stability control disabled. So I do like that. Down in the south there's no snow, so I can't do donuts, but like up home it's fun to do donuts in the truck. Between the towing issues and the ergonomic issues that I've talked about already, I'm just really disappointed in this truck overall. And I guess that teaches me to try something different. So I've had 5 4th-generation Rams in a row, and didn't have any issues with those, and figured, well, might as well try a Ford, and it's just overall a disappointing experience. So I'll be getting rid of this as soon as I can find a 4th or 5th generation Ram to replace it. Luckily I paid right around trade-in value for it at the dealer, so I can get rid of it without losing any money. I've already got a Carvana offer for what I bought it for, so I won't be out anything even if I just sell it to them. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and check out my older videos, and hopefully sometime soon I'll have a video on the replacement truck for this.